Before coming on this trip,
my expectations were...
I expected God to do big things, but I had no idea that it would be this big.
I really didn't know what to expect before I come on this trip. I was having some issues, but I knew, I kind of hoped and prayed that this trip would change me.
A total surprise. I came here, I was lost and desperate need of God.
I really didn't have any expectations before coming on this trip. I really didn't know what to expect. I knew there was going to be some need in the people of Ecuador, but once I got here, the need was just overwhelming, and I really didn't know how to take that.
My expectations for this week was, I don't know. I really didn't know what to expect. Just knew that I needed to do something for Christ, and just hope that I could, do it to my best.
My expectations for this trip before I came was I was going to come down here and it was just going to be something that I was just going to do and then come back to Harrisburg and be the same.
When I came to Ecuador, I just sort of thought like I would have fun, I would fellowship with other believers.
Well, I just really thought it'd be less dramatic. I really didn't know what to expect. This is my first mission trip. Sometimes your mind conjures up things and they turn out to be wrong, so I just kind of withheld my expectations until I got here, and I might add that they were beyond and are beyond whatever I could have expected.
I really had no idea what to expect coming on the trip, but I know that I didn't think that the people would be so nice and ready to listen to what we had to say.
Well, I expected that I would probably be working out in the field and doing carpentry work and building and so on and so forth. That didn't happen. That wasn't God's plan. I got with children all week. Yesterday we had what a blessing. They're just starving for love. Starving for love.
That of the 13 people going on this trip, every one of them would have a life-changing experience because of what they saw here and what they were able to do, what they were accomplishing, what they were able to see themselves do, what they probably didn't expect that they could do. And I think we saw that this week.
I didn't really know what to expect on this trip. I've been on many mission trips, and their expectations have been blown away. God just blows me away each time. And did that here too, with many stories that I'll be able to tell you. But I did expect God to move, and He did this week.
Well, on this trip, God has taught me to have big faith and to believe that He can do big things here and in the United States.
God's taught me a lot about myself and about forgiveness to people, and about how to pray, like everyday things that you take for granted, like a hot shower, and just the little things that you miss from home.
Well, on this trip, God has taught me to be more appreciative, to love others, and to just be appreciative of myself and the world around me.
On this trip, God has taught me to be thankful for the things that I have back home, because these people have nothing. And it's just very heartbreaking to see some of the things these people are having to go through to live day by day.
Well, on this trip, God has taught me, I think, more than I could ever put into this video. Personally, He's just taught me a lot about myself. Spiritually, He's taught me a lot, but He's also taught me the need that's here in Ecuador. To just see these kids' face, and just see all the lost people, and just the grip that the other sects of religion have on this area is just it's just crazy. You would just never have thought it.
Well, on this trip, God has blown my expectations out, and He has taught me many, many things.
Well, on this trip, God's taught me how insignificant I am, and how us as Americans, we think that we're the center of attention, and we think that everything revolves around us, but not having social networking and all the distractions has really opened my eyes to see how big God is, and how I'm just a small piece in His game of life.
I think God has really been dealing with me, and He's taught me that maybe my service to Him is not by any means over. Sometimes I try to equate gray hair with less energy or less expectations, but I'm wrong. I think the Lord has something for us to do all of our life. Even on our deathbed, I think we may have the opportunity to witness someone, and I pray that His will be fulfilled in my life.
God has taught me to be really appreciative of all the many blessings that I have, because teaching VBS, you see the kids come back each and every day wearing the same dirty clothes that they wore the day before, and it just, seeing the smile and the joy on their faces wanting to be there just really humbles me and puts joy in my heart.
This week has really been life-changing. It's you just get up every day and go along about your daily business. You don't think about people in other parts of the world, and you just really think, you know, when you get here, you know, what's God going to do with you? And it's not what you want, believe me. It's what He wants, and that was really a blessing.
God has taught me this week that He has shown me, given me a heart of missions. Not long term, but He's just taught me about the need in the entire world and even in our community.
This week God has taught me the joy of serving alongside of people that He's entrusted to me as a pastor, and the joy of seeing them involved in ministry, doing ministry, and loving it. And that has just brought great joy to my heart and my life.
Because of my experience on this trip, when I get home, I will pray big prayers, have big faith, and believe that God can part the clouds like He did while we were in Ecuador.
I won't take as many things for granted. I want to pray more and be more active in church and to read my Bible more and become a better Christian.
Because of my experience on this trip, when I get home, I will be more involved with my church family, just be a better person and be more appreciative of what God has given me and embrace everything in front of me.
Because of my experience on this trip, when I get home, I will strive to be a better Christian. I will take nothing for granted, and I will be sure to teach my child the things that I have learned on this trip, and hope that she becomes a better person also.
Because of my experience on this trip, whenever I go home, I think I will be more alert as to the needs, even just right in our own community there in Harrisburg, and just to teach my children of the things of the other countries and of the other populations of the world as their need for Christ, to where they can have a burden for Christ also in not only international missions but also just right there at home.
After the experience, I will be more obedient to Christ.
Because of my experience on this trip, when I get home, I hope to have big faith. I hope to pray more. I've prayed more this week than I think I ever have in my entire life, and I hope that I could take that home with me and be able to pray without cease, and just when I have a problem or when I'm faced with a challenge, that I just seek God automatically.
I plan to continue to pray for the people of Quito and the children at VBS that I've got to know this week. And I also plan to pray for the people back at home in our hometown who don't know God's plan of saving grace, and I hope to reach out to them.
When I get back to Harrisburg, I'm just going to try to be a lot better person, and with God's help, I'll be praying for our community as well as the community down here. And I met a little girl yesterday that she just blessed my heart. She has the same name as my son. Her name is Tracy. And she just hung on to me all the afternoon. And what a blessing. And today I'll talk to her about if she's saved. I hope I can lead it to the Lord.
When I get home, I'll be praying more for the missionaries and the people of Quito, but also the missionaries all around the world and praying that our church would rise up to the challenge of reaching the community more, and even reaching the world and our state, our nation more.
When I get back home, I feel convicted as a pastor to be more intentional in mobilizing our people to be involved in missions, not just internationally, but right there in Harrisburg, right there in the United States and in the world. I hope that we'll become soon, not just in several years, but in the next 2 years at the most, a church that is globally minded when it comes to our mission work and taking the gospel to all creation. And so that's my desire, to be more intentional in doing that as a pastor and leading the people and myself to be more involved in that.